This train is for Twickenham. The next station is Vauxhall.
And with that special announcement from the train operator, hi, I'm Rich Johnston from Bleeding Cool.
I'm Patrick Dane, also from Bleeding Cool.
And we now live in a different plane of existence, isn't that right, Patrick?
Yeah, we do.
What plane is that?
It's a plane where we've seen that new Star Wars movie.
We have just seen the Star Wars movie. We have. I've seen it at the Empire Cinema on Leicester Square, and yeah, we've seen it. And you haven't. Some of them might have. It's possible if you might have.
Yeah.
And you may be watching this far in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
You definitely have seen it.
Yeah,
Because everyone is going to see this film.
There's someone watching who lives in a plane of existence where they've seen episode 8, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, far enough.
Okay, but anyway, this is, just to check, this is, because I've got today's one of the Evening Standard, just to make sure this is Tuesday the 15th of December. We've come out of the cinema and we've just seen Star Wars, and I think, no, we're not sure what we can say. Because they're still saying, please don't spoil too many things.
We're not going to spoil anything anyways, because who wants that? It's not fun for anybody.
Okay, that's fair enough. But can we say we liked it? Because I liked it. Can you say that?
I'm happily to put my stamp on it and say, like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay. I was thinking about there's lots of stuff I want to talk about. Not sure how much things I can talk about. Some about things I can do.
All I really care about is just like getting over the feeling of it. Right?
This train is now approaching Vauxhall.
There we go. See, but it was very Star Warsy. I mean, they use all the bits that you think will make up a Star Wars film without putting in loads of the ponderous things that you thought, hang on, what was that doing in the Phantom Menace?
Yeah, the interesting thing about it is it's very referential, the movie.
I mean, I say possibly overly too much. I mean, there seems to be going out their way to make specific references, repeating lines again and again.
I think it's very interesting what they're doing with it. 'Cause, like, I actually think tonally it doesn't actually, it feels quite different from anything that's ever come in Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
it's a lot more adventure, a lot more fun. You know, Star Wars is about adventure, but it's a lot more lighthearted. Is also not the word. It's blockbuster. I think it's like a better way of putting it.
Well, it kind of was one of the original blockbusters. The original, so I can see
it feels very modern. I think that's probably
I
the best way of putting it.
See, actually, I'm getting a lot of the ancient stuff from it. It feels a lot odd, but you're right. It's a film almost like, I say, two halves, but because you get the characters that you know, and characters that you don't, and they do seem to have a separation.
What I think is interesting about all that reference is like because they're obviously setting up a new team that you're going with,
yes.
Right? And I think that making the movie so referential, right, is quite interesting because it's I wouldn't say it's not a plot for plot retread of the original Star Wars, right?
There's a few.
But
things.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the same bit,
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Is there are definitely points in the narrative, and I think it'd be very interesting to play both movies side by side and see exactly like what lines up because there is a lot like it's about starts off trying to find a droid who knows something interesting, and then there's
through a desert planet.
Yeah, and then there's three heroes who
these are the droids you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like as the movie goes on, there's a lot more like pulling, especially narrative. But I think that's quite interesting because I think that the movie feels a little bit different from anything that happened in Star Wars. So I think framing it in that narrative, right, you kind of get a feel for what this is because we understand what this narrative is, in a sense. So you're seeing it through. When we now understand what this feeling of this new movie is because we've now seen it sort of retread a lot of the things that happened in the first movie, right?
Yes.
If that makes sense. So I think that's quite interesting.
I think I'm enjoyed the moral complexity in that this is in the way that Star Wars is very much a one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Well, this is at least a two-dimensional film because you actually have characters whose moral points change.
Yeah.
Very specifically.
I think it's a lot more complex than other Star Wars, right? Like I think that the characters are more nuanced.
Yes, very much.
I think that a lot of the old Star Wars movies are, it's about, Luke's the hero, Han's a scoundrel, Darth Vader's just a bad dude. There's not a lot of nuance to those characters, and I think like here there is like some like a lot of playing with like who's I can't get into it.
But there are there's very specific things I noticed. Things like when you have a character. Like Rey is very much she is a female character, not in the Princess Leia mode, not even just the Faustian capture, but this is a character who will get herself out of trouble constantly, and they kind of make a point of that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's very.
This train is
it's a very interesting movie, and like I think like
the next station is Queenstown.
I can't go into like why, but I think that Kylo Ren might be one of my favorite characters.
I have to say that again, there's a moral complexity there.
I can't get into it, but like I think that they're doing a lot of interesting things with that character, and I really fell for it. I really liked it.
You'll be shipping him, will you?
Yeah, I will put my seal of approval on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't like going too much longer. 'Cause it's like, one, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but two, like, there's not much more you need to know going in. It's
Well, I mean,
pretty good.
I mean,
It's pretty
there, I mean,
good.
there are things. I mean, I liked very much the way they kind of create that kind of cantina and Jabba's palace
Yeah.
scene.
That's
There's
what I'm saying,
that,
like,
you
you know,
see that
it's
kind of stuff.
calling all back
you,
to
you
this.
get, but you get the full there's the full Alien universe
Yeah.
thing, and they almost kind of do the stuff that George Lucas tried to do when he did the special editions of Star Wars by adding in all those extra aliens. They can look a bit weird. Here it's much more. It's all together.
Yeah.
It really feels like it fits.
Yeah, it's just that's what I'm saying. Like, there is a lot. It's a lot of calling back on itself, but in a way that I don't think it's cheating. In a way that I think is genuinely interesting. It actually sets up where it's going and the feeling of the entire movie.
But if this was the only film,
next-
if this was the one film, would you feel disappointed? If this
yeah,
was it.
but I also know it's not. which I do think is probably a difference between it and the original Star Wars. Is like the original one was more or less a standalone movie.
Oh yeah,
Because they didn't know it, they didn't necessarily know, like, you know, if we would get the Empire and whatever, and what came afterwards. This one, they can play a little bit more, and, like, you know, I obviously can't go into again
No.
why, but, like,
I mean,
it doesn't stand on its own feet.
Yeah, we're not going to necessarily find out that Finn and Rey are brother and sister at any point, are we? I think so. I'm just checking because, you know, we've had that shock before.
We have. I doubt it. I think we're done. I think we're done. I think after this one, because I think that this really is like
No.
the setup for going forward.
Obviously,
right?
BB-8 is a clear favourite. Not just, and all the merchandise people have known this, and the trailers have known this. But yes,
Yeah, he's
that's
great.
a great droid.
He's bloody brilliant.
Isn't it? Yeah. He's got, I like the size of him. He's nice and chunky, and he's not.
There's some very like one. He's like.
Oh, can we talk about one thing? Can we talk about the applause? Because I think that's going to happen in a lot of cinemas. We at the press scene, we get certain scenes, and everyone in that audience applauds. When someone comes
totally.
on, and everyone applauds. And I tell you, that happens
A
a
lot.
good 8 or 9 times
Yeah,
during the.
totally.
It's just like, hey, we recognise someone from our childhood. Let's give them an applause. And they're not being
I
destroyed.
imagine that'll be happening a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's not something I remember getting a lot in Phantom Menace. Even when you had people like R2D2 and C-3PO turning up and stuff, you didn't get that kind of.
I mean, sometimes the press screenings can be a little bit heightened. So
I think this is going to. I think that's going to play elsewhere.
I think we live
People
in
are
a
gonna do
post. I think we live in a post, you know, blockbuster world and franchise world where people really genuinely care about this stuff. And like,
yeah.
so I can't actively see people getting into it more. But yeah, I mean, like, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie.
You really enjoyed it.
I wouldn't say it like that. It's,
So
I'm not
it's
saying it's like
obviously, I mean,
life-changing,
everyone is going
but
to see
it's
this.
really
I think
good.
that is going to be fair. I
Yeah.
mean, the people who aren't are the people who like. You have to choose not to see this film. I think.
Yeah, basically.
Then
And
you-
even then, you'll still probably figure it out by like word of mouth, right? Like, even if you don't see this movie, you'll probably end up seeing it within the next year.
Now, there's of course those people I talked about earlier who have gone out of their way saying, "Oh, we don't like what Disney and Lucasfilm are doing with this film, therefore we're going to go out and
Oh, yeah,
spoil it all over the internet just to
Oh,
destroy it."
Yeah, well, don't do
We
that.
are the
That's
Rebel
rubbish.
Alliance.
That's rubbish. Don't do that. And I mean, like,
We're not doing
I wouldn't be worried. Like, I'd be as worried as being like, oh, Disney's doing Marvel, so they ruin it. Like Disney's involvement with Marvel hasn't really. I mean, it's a lot more franchise now, but it hasn't really like. Honestly, I wouldn't say that's hurt that franchise.
I mean,
It's the same thing here.
I think there are about like good 5 or 6 surprises in the film.
Yeah.
Which I think you really don't want to know going in.
No,
So I think
yes,
quite a few people are gonna,
maybe do avoid stuff until you see it.
Yeah, it really is. Just stay off the internet. But apart from this, obviously, this is where we are, and the whatever review is just below there, that's also going to be guaranteed spoiler free, I think.
Yeah. Like I said, I have no interest in spoiling anything for anybody because I know this is important.
But yeah, well, basically, it's kind of like if you like Star Wars, any kind of Star Wars, even if you've just seen it occasionally, other things,
Yeah.
just probably a film you're going to enjoy.
I mean, it's one of those event movies which everyone's going to go see because it's like a cultural milestone. Right?
I'll take my kids. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, it is very much a boys' movie in that the main character. It was one of these things. The Bechdel test. You get. There's only 7 words that count. Where like 2 women talking to each other.
Yeah. I mean, I saw
about
that as a
anything other
tweet.
than a man.
I saw that as a tweet.
Yeah, but yeah, there's 7 words. So it's that's it. So it's very much a women how they relate to men.
Totally.
Very much.
Yeah.
And
I
some
would
people
say
don't like that.
Yeah.
It's fair enough. But on that basis, you do actually have, I would say, the main character is. And this is another thing we're talking about. Actually, she's really like Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Keira, it's kind of like if J.J. Abrams had made this film about 5 years ago.
Yeah, maybe 10. But
10 years. He'd have cast Keira Knightley. It's really quite.
Yeah,
It's almost like she's doing the voice.
Well, Keira Knightley was in the Phantom Menace, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know it's true, but it's kind of like almost like I don't know, a way to I don't know. Recapture her. I don't know, but it's very much.
Yeah, it's more. I'd say she's more than reminiscent like she feels like her, and like that might turn people off, but I think that where they take the character is interesting enough. So like I wouldn't be like, oh, I hate her.
And we have to love Finn. Finn's just very funny and
he brings something
clever.
He brings something new to Star Wars, which is just like he's a funny guy, and like in Star Wars,
This is
you
Clapham
don't
Junction.
characters aren't usually funny.
There are
say funny
jokes.
things.
That's another thing about this one. There are jokes.
Yeah.
Repeatedly, they're not always funny.
Yeah.
But there are jokes.
Yeah.
And there's certainly enough, and that's not something
Yeah,
you
quite
quite
some very
used to
smart
do.
visual gags in there.
Yeah.
I had one in particular, but again, I won't ruin that.
We won't ruin that.
But yeah, no, like I said,
there's an actor who really owes Joe Bush a pint, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
For,
John Boyega
casting him in
nails it.
absolutely. So yes, it's So anyway, enjoy the film. We did. Tell us what you think in the comments, either on the YouTube or on the beautiful review down there. Cheers. Bye now.
Yeah.
So I stop now, I think.